Hello out there, this is Green Guy with Green Guy Finance coming at you with another video after another very profitable day. Been on a nice little streak lately, have we not? So, JD 400%, not Tesla, LinkedIn 200%. Called all that real time in the pre-market today, but we don't care about that, do we? We want to be looking forward. So, this video is going to have a couple things that are forward-looking. In particular, have some picks by some followers, Ford, Visa, and Tesla. So we're going to be looking at those three names looking forward. In particular, I wanted to highlight some of the things I noticed on the solars, and in particular, I wanted to highlight some of the things that I've noticed in the big momentum biotech names in general. So there have been some changes, although they haven't really been getting a lot of buzz, but there have been some major changes that I've noticed the past week in the biotechs, particularly the big momentum names, the Facebooks, etc. And it's come to the Zillows and things like that now, but the catalysts that have been driving those aren't the same ones that we saw a week ago. And it's appropriate because we're at this topping type market. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 daily chart. Let's zoom this out to the 3-month. So this is a 3-month, the bottom of that correction. So the past week and a half, I'm talking this phase right here. This phase right here, we've had this doji, flat, little action tied into the marketplace that has become such a defining theme that you can say it for almost any name that you look at. Now here, look at the Russian Vector ETF. The Russian Vector ETF, all that horrible news, the ruble crashing, there might be more sanctions coming out, but look, it's just staying flat. But that's with every name. Oil, pretty much flat there. Gold has actually not been too flat. It's actually had a nice little rebounding action. But you're starting to see some of that creep in. Still, I don't know. That's not exactly helping my point. But here's the gist of it, is we are not seeing the financial sector or the XLVs. XLV is this line in maroon, and the financials are highlighted in the white there. This line, this is the daily chart comparison, but we need those to be leaders to bring us out of this funk a little bit. That's one piece of that pie, but we are really in this catalyst-driven market right now. So we need the news in addition to all of that to get this nice stew going so we can bubble up higher. I like this bull market personally because the news catalysts have been fantastic. So I would not front run this market. I would throw that out there right now. I would not have any picks on the S&P or otherwise leading one way or the other. I think the only thing that does look very promising is oil. There's been a lot of options activity to the upside. Other than that, I would be very hesitant to make a big call on these names one way or the other. Caution must be advised because what we could be seeing is not the beginning of a bullish market going higher, but the beginning of this indecisiveness caused by reality bringing us downward, because we have had horrible worldwide news. Horrible. Japan recession, you name it. Germany, EU, London. All these things have had horrible news come out the past week that's been ignored. Largely ignored. So, caution advised. That's all I got to say about that. But let's talk a little bit about this kind of a market where you're at this all-time high, almost breaking out, flat type market. So, this, my friends, is 16 names of momentum biotechs that I follow very closely because they have liquid options. So we have had very news catalyst driven action in these names, which is perfect. We are not looking at upgrades and downgrades. I personally have been ignoring them for the past half a week. I don't care. What I've been noticing is the news and the hype in these really high, safe, sort of feeling bullish markets. You have these names bubble out of nowhere. The triple Ds, the 3D printing sector. Look at this. We had this descending triangle breaking out. I think this could be actually have quite a rise out of it. What else do we have? We had the news with LinkedIn and Facebook. I played LinkedIn today, as many of you know. And Facebook is going into the career building social media domain. So it's very negative for LinkedIn. Facebook is going to have a long-term plus out of it probably, but not enough to drive it today. But news, catalyst-driven events. Zillow, look at this. Very nice bullish action. These beautiful candles coming out. We're starting to see some of these names revive. Amazon, the spiking. Amazon got beaten down in earnings. Let's zoom out. Yeah, see this big gap right there? Earnings. Netflix. See that big gap? Earnings. It's even on Facebook if you zoom out far enough. Let's see. That big gap. Earnings. So we've seen a lot of these earnings beaten down names coming back. The few concerns I've seen are some big names like Google and Priceline. But I have a feeling like the positivity is going to be contagious as long as the market can sustain, the larger, broader market, the S&Ps and etc. As long as we can maintain, just stay flat. I believe these names can rise us out of this. Bring us out of this murky water that we've been in. So, big catalysts aside, if we keep this flatness, I believe we will have this run that we've been expecting to the upside. So that is what it is. Let's move to the names of the day that we made money off of and some of the names we're looking forward to in addition. JD, very simple play for those of you that followed. Pre-market, I had the posts out. There was an article in CNBC. They're diluting their shares by 5-fold because it's 180 days after their IPO. So this is as easy as it gets. Pure reversal. Nice opening up higher in the morning. It's just an easy play to the downside all day. Really nothing to think about at all today in this name. Just play it out and take your money. 400%. Really, sometimes they're just that easy. You just have to do your homework. So I'll keep posting those. You guys like those. Not a problem. I don't mind sharing them. There's room for many people. Let's move on. So this is triple D. We went through that in the other chart. Nice descending triangle, breaking out action. Like I said, I would like to see this breakout and come back to its older sort of support area around the 45s. This is the area I expected to go to. How quickly it'll bounce out of that, not sure. I want to see the bullish action we've been seeing continue. But that discussion we had about the market type we're in, with this all-time high-ish, this is a name that should excel in that market type. It is a growth speculative play that keeps getting more sales. So its name will one day be there as a pure revenue-driven value play, but right now it is still a growth. Keep that in mind. We're in a growth phase on triple D, but it should excel should things stay safe. Now, let's get to some of the requests here real quick. Ford. I was looking at Ford and GM. This is a comparison chart of Ford and GM. The blue line here is Tesla. The white line there is Ford. And the price action there is GM. And I'll take off the pivot points to make it a little easier to see. So, what we've been noticing with these names, and we've been talking about these on these videos for a while, is that this downward breaking action that happened with all of these names, they all broke supports, was that it wasn't going to be sustained. There's no way they could maintain this price below with the economy being as positive as it was with the LEIs. So we've been following these names, and GM's been dragging everything down. Overreaction, definite overreaction. Good dividend stocks, easy bottoming play. And thankfully, one thing I was very happy to see is it appears that Ford, with its beautiful news-driven catalysts this past week, has brought the other names up with it, GM and Tesla. So the lesson here is follow all of the names together. Don't separate them because they are definitely acting as one correlated body. So if you do trade these names, or if you take a long stock position, you're looking for an entry, follow all the names and check the buzz on each in the morning, and you'll get a better entry if you want a long position. I have GM stock currently. It's lagging a little bit more than I'd like to, but I got a very nice entry and a good dividend stock, so I'm not too worried about it. Tesla, I wanted to point out this chart on Tesla just because it has had some very choppy action. It's been subject to the inane ramblings, and I do love him, but the inane ramblings of Elon Musk and the confusion over some of their sales. I wanted to highlight one article on Tesla for the person who requested it. I found this particularly helpful. But Bloomberg Business Week had an article, Mystery of the 12,000 Missing Teslas, Overseas Boom or Winning U.S. Demand. It appears to me that the recent Tesla buzz, and this is a growth company, keep that in mind, but it appears to me that Tesla is going to have good sales. As I've been saying for months, I think that their product is fantastic, and I think their overseas growth, as this article says, speculatively, it looks like their overseas sales are fantastic. I think they're going to have a much better quarter than people realize. Really do. And as they come out with more products, they have an SUV on plan, and they now have the supercar out. I think that they're going to have surprisingly great numbers. Long term, this is going to be an absolute company to reckon with. Short term, it's just in this growth phase. So I'm sorry, people, until they get the revenue that really merits its market cap, you're just going to have to put up with these choppy actions that's going to be happening in this name. But in the meantime, fantastic name to trade. Easy catalyst plays. So moving onward, let's take a look at AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts. This name is correlated to the others. Now, if you trade this, don't use options. I would say don't use options. They are not very liquid, and you're going to have a huge movement for it to pay out unless you're playing a long trend. So I followed this today looking for the correlation, and it did have a nice movement, but it wasn't a good price, so I passed on it. So if you guys want to look back at that in the pricing and how much you could have made, it was definitely not a good risk-reward scenario. Walmart, I wanted to highlight this because they're moving up on all this speculation about these low oil prices. You know, the bump at the pump, as some people have called it, is why people are spending more at Walmart, and I think it's totally bunk. Go through their numbers, look at what people are really buying. They have fewer customers that are just buying more currently. And I think long term, this stock is going to be massively overvalued. This is not anything that's going to be sustainable. So Walmart's had a nice, here's the monthly chart, nice bump up. I think that's one to keep an eye on for the downside in the long term. Visa, another requested by a follower. Visa here, I think, is approaching a top. And the problem with Visa and MasterCard, it sort of goes into that Walmart scenario where people have more money at the pump, so they're using their credit cards a little more because they have more cash. Now, what this confusing chart is, it's basically looking back year to date, essentially. I believe I have it year to date on these names. MasterCard in white, the XLFs, that's the financial sector, in blue, JP Morgan in yellow, and Goldman Sachs in pink. To give you an idea of these names. Now, this is a little scary to me for Visa because it's leading the pack. and it's had good news, but I don't think it's had great news. I would be a little hesitant on Visa. It looks like it could have a bit of a downward price action coming, particularly if you look at MasterCard the past couple days. MasterCard's had a little bit of a dip, and Visa has sort of just maintained its flatness. I think this could be a very nasty play if the market turns. I don't think oil prices are going to save it in that case. So I would exercise caution. I don't think it has a whole lot of movement to the upside in the short term. Long term, I don't know. I wouldn't take a long-term position on this right now. I really just wouldn't. I would just keep an eye on it for short-term catalysts. SolarCity and the Solars, a really quick look at these names. They've been getting a bump. I like the alternative energy names. They will get better as time goes on. They've had this little bit of a rundown from the midterm elections and the stereotypical Republicans hate alternative energy garbage that comes out at this time of the year, but this is going to be a big sector, and keep your eyes on it. Today it had a little bump at the end of the day, disregarded. There was basically a misinformation story that Buffett was putting money into SPWR, and he already had, so it was old news. But I do like the action on SolarCity and Tesla. Like I said before, I would look for more upside in SolarCity and for SolarCity to lead the other names with it, because those subsidies aren't going away, at least in the short term. They're guaranteed for a while. I think the sector is going to just be better and better and better, because even a lot of the oil guys are saying alternatives are going to be the future. It's just a matter of timing, so keep your eyes out for that. So, whew, that's it, guys. I don't have anything else. If you like the videos, keep following. favorite, repost it, retweet it. I appreciate it. Good luck and good trading. Good night, all.